Hello, well I'm at East Sussex today at the little village of Alfriston, and it's a very attractive village indeed with lots of old medieval buildings, lovely half-timbered buildings, including this public house, which has rather nice painted wooden carvings around it as well. Anyway, there's a church and a very nice village green with little houses overlooking the green, and at the side of the church is the clergy house. And this is an ancient house, probably dating from about 1350, built in the aftermath of the Black Death. And it was the first house that was acquired by the National Trust. It was purchased by the Trust in 1896 for the token sum of £10. It's a lovely example of an old Wealden house. It's got beautiful old oak beaming and very nice joinery, you can see there, rather exposed. And wattle and daub infill around the house as well. And the grounds it's set in are very attractive gardens. It was in a terrible condition when the National Trust took it on, but it's been carefully restored, and authentically so. And it now looks very much probably as it did when it was first built. Perhaps a little bit older, but not dissimilar. Here are the gardens, and the gardens go right round the house, so some of it's fairly casual lawn and some of it's rather nice flower beds and vegetable areas, and it backs onto a little bit of sort of marshland as well with reed beds. So there you are, cut some of that reed and make a Sussex chair. The house itself is very simple layout inside. It's quite low everywhere. This is the parlour. And there was a wonderful fireplace, big ingle nook fireplace in the parlour. And I had a look up the chimney. And at the side there was also a bread oven. Well, here's the chimney, and you can just about see daylight at the very top, but it's a vast fireplace. And there's a bread oven just to the side here, with paddles for putting your bread in and out of the oven. There they are. There's some quite interesting ironwork supporting some of the beams, and you wonder how that was done. It was probably a bit of a repair suddenly put in with a beam that was creaking away. The wattle and daub, as you can see, was filled in with chestnut or oak and then covered with like a plastery lime wash mix. Usually contains some horsehair to bind it all together. The joinery, they had an example actually of the joinery on display, and it was actually quite complicated. And here it is. And I was slightly sort of tickled to see that they actually numbered the joints, so you'd know which bit went where. And I mean, that's something I do quite often, is number my joints. Here's the layout. So you've got the main central hall, living quarters, service area. And it's a very simple, really, arrangement, but quite effective. I would have thought the house would be quite cold in the winter, despite the nice big fire in the middle, but I suppose that did help. Here's the wattle and daub. You can just see how it's been exposed. Wonderful roof on the main hall there. And here's the sort of quite wide area. Beginning to feel a bit hungry at this point. Nice food on the table. And they were saying about how the food was cooked to avoid disease. This joinery detail, the table was possibly French oak. Quite nice little 4-slice wedges there, bit unusual, and a nice crown post on that roof. Look at that. That's joinery and woodwork to perfection. The floor I was intrigued to see because they said it was made of sour milk and chalk, and in fact I've seen something similar at the Wealden Downland Museum, and there it is. It makes quite a hard, good solid floor. It just seems a very strange way of doing it, but it does work. And it was quite a traditional way. There was a carved oak leaf in the corner of the room, and I wondered if perhaps that was to do with the origins of the National Trust. And down one of the corridors there's quite a good timeline of the building of the house, so it goes right back to about 1350. And it's funny when you think of all the sort of events which have taken place since it was built and what it's seen during all those years. It's really quite interesting. Through to the side there was a little scullery with a pump and a sink, and then you could go upstairs and there was a little room up there with a few pictures of what the house looked like some time ago. Very cosy rooms, and I particularly like some of the detail on both the woodwork and the sort of little bits of blacksmithing here and there that one could see. Here's an example of the windows with nice window catches with sprung sort of levers on those window catches. Something it wouldn't be too difficult to replicate, but makes a nice little latching arrangement. And just before we leave, I will show you some pictures of what the house did look like, because they've got some sort of studio display in this room. Nice bit of woodworm, of course a hazard, but that's what it looked like when it was taken on. A very sorry state indeed. A bit of work being done on it, another sorry state picture, but it is quite good to see what it was like. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed seeing the Clergy House, and thanks very much for watching. Bye bye.